Kachino Radio.
Yeah.
You've, I mean, from day one, from the NWA days throughout your entire just career, whether it's acting or whatever, I feel like you are one of the very few individuals that has always stayed true to the people. And I think this is the biggest like thing you could be doing for anybody right now. And so many people kind of don't know what to do, or they just base everything on social media and timelines. And I'm not really seeing it no more, so it's not going on. None of that affects you. You've literally put your life and your being and your everything into this contract. And so before we really dive into it, I just want to say I appreciate you for doing it, man. It's someone needed to. And the fact that it's you, I mean, it means a lot to a lot of people.
Man, I appreciate it. You know, it's our turn. You know, we've seen, you know, the civil rights movement. We've seen, you know, other movements in history. And, you know, I've sat on the sideline and kind of watched, you know, the Jesse Jacksons of the world and, you know, Al Sharptons of the world and people who've been out on the front line, you know, whether you agree with them or not, they've always showed up for our people. So this is my way of showing up, you know, doing something that we can push. Hopefully we can push, you know, legislation, you know, on the federal tip. We can change some of these problems in big sweeping ways. But if not, I'm willing to go to company by company, state by state, and try to push these things, because I think, you know, they not only help Black people, but they help America, because we're the weakest link when it comes to being stable in this country. So once you shore up the weakest link, you shore up the whole country. So that's the plan, you know, shore up the weakest link.
See, and I wanted to ask you that because it's sad, but it's true. I'm 33 now, and honestly, like, this is my first time really understanding the importance of local voting. Like, everyone always talks about vote for the president, this, that, and the other, but the local votes matter so much. And up until this point, I don't know why I never understood that. So even like for this contract, I'm not educated the way I should be. What is the process? Like, what is the plan? Do you take it to Congress? Is it something you got to try and do locally with mayors and city councilmen?
The plan is to get the people behind the concept of that we need a contract with Black America. You know, once the grassroots and once people feel it in the street, like, I don't know what to do, I'm not sure what to do, but I know it's this contract out here that's going to benefit our people. From there, that gives me the heat I need to go to Congress, go to some of these presidential candidates. We have connections with both sides, with Democrats and Republicans. So we got the connections. We just need the groundswell from the people now. We need it to be talked about in the streets. You know, not just Ice Cube, but everybody talking about the contract with Black America. Now, right now, it's 27 pages. We're getting it condensed to a bite-sized form, you know, 4 pages, where anybody on the street can check that out and know exactly what we asking for. And we can ask for this not only on the federal level, but the state level, the local level. We can ask for these things. You know, we actually have more power when it comes to the Black vote on the local and state level. Yep. Our vote usually changes the race or turns the race, or if we don't show up, it usually doesn't come out the way people would predict. So we have a lot of power. We just got to harness it. We got to use our vote like a weapon and get what we want, and basically threaten people. If you don't give us what we want, we're not voting for you. We're going to get you out of there. And we don't care what party you come from. See, that's the thing. You know, they've got us locked in that we have to be Democrats. Well, we will if they do what we want them to do. You know, this is where the voter gets the power back. You know, you go to the Democrats and say, look, y'all look like you guys about to walk in the door with this, and that will be nice, but we got to get ours or you're not going to get our vote. And we can't really get emotional because we catch hell no matter who's in office. You know, for some reason, Democrat, Republican, we still are on the bottom of the barrel. And that's what we got to change.
What's crazy is, like, you say that, like, I've never understood that, how you have to be a Democrat or you have to be Republican. Because let's say you're Democrat and you don't like what your the person representing the Democratic Party saying. So you still have to vote for them even if you don't agree, or if the Republican, vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's truly about the individual connecting with whatever person they want to represent them and their beliefs, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. That's exactly how it's supposed to go. Everybody's been kind of going in lockstep, because, Democrats seem to be trying to open the door a little more when it comes to civil rights. But nobody's opened the door when it comes to economic rights. You know what I mean? Everybody's slamming the door on us. So we we can't just sit back and take a ride. We got to have demands. And we got to go to these candidates with our demands on this is what we want. And if you don't, or you're not willing to do this, you're not going to get our vote no matter who you are. And that's the power. If you don't do it like that, if you just, ride with the people who emotionally you feel that, okay, they're emotionally in line with me, so I'm going to ride with them, but we don't get nothing out of it. We've been doing that, since, JFK, and here's where we are. So we gotta change that scenario. We gotta go with demands, and we go to both parties with the demands, and whoever give it to us is the one we vote for.
100%. Let's talk defunding the police, because I feel like so many people hear it and it's either yes because I don't like police, or people are like, yeah, take the money, or it's not about that. I mean, I feel like they need to hear it from you. Break it down, because it's not just don't pay the police. It's like basically just reallocating the money, right?
Well, it's right now it's a buzzword that people are using to say all or nothing. You
Right.
know, we just want good police on the street, no matter how you do it. You know what I mean? If it's allocating the funds to other places, of course we would want that. We want our neighborhoods to have better schools. We want things that happen better in our communities. We want our communities to be looked after. We do think police, with an over militarized attitude, waste money, without a doubt. So of course, we would like that money not wasted and maybe going to the communities. But ultimately, we need new training. We need better police with a better attitude. And if you did that, the people wouldn't even be mad at the police. But they don't want to change their stripes. They want business as usual. They like to be able to whoop up on people. It's a game to them at this point. So they don't want to lose their fun. They having too much fun on our heads. So, but we got to stop that part. If all the police did the right thing, we could keep, we can fund the police and have more. But now that they are basically terrorizing us in our own neighborhoods, there's too many of them, and they're not stopping crime. It's still going on. When they was at full force, it was still going on. The murders were still going on when they was at full force. So now they're just trying to use it as a tool to say, look, they don't want police. Look, we're going to let the streets go crazy. And that's the wrong attitude, too.
Well, and I think too, like one of the important things is that the police, I do agree that they need to be from, or at least live within a certain vicinity of the actual neighborhood that they're policing. Because if you don't care about the community, you literally check in, do your job, and then bounce, and you have no afterthought about the actual people that are dealing with the situations.
Without a doubt. You got a situation too where, even if you don't live in the community, you should have to come in and do some kind of community service.
For sure.
Somewhere where you're talking and getting to know the people. And it's not just, these people you don't care about in a place that you never go except for work. So something has to be done where there's a interaction. I know some police saying, hey, I don't want my kids living next door to the people I might have to arrest. That's understandable. But you have to come back into the community, and you have to have a presence other than just in uniform. So it just has to be communications. They have a us versus them mentality, but we're in all this together because the community can do a lot of policing themselves and help law enforcement if they didn't fear law enforcement. Sometimes you call the police and they treat you like the victim. And
Right.
so, I mean, like the perpetrator,
yeah.
like the criminal. So, we can't have that. We got to change that no matter what. If it's defunding, or if it's just, getting rid of the bad guys and making them good guys. The FBI knows who all the bad cops are. They know who all the white supremacist cops are, and they don't do nothing but just sit back and let them do their crimes until the FBI gets mad. And then they want to come in and clean things up. But they should be cleaning things up for the people.
In the contract, you mentioned qualified immunity. I was going to see if you could elaborate on that a bit.
It's a license to kill. That means, if an officer does something to you, they basically, it's a get out of jail free card. And it has to go away. Officers have to be, I think officers should have some kind of liability insurance. You know what I mean? So, doctors have it. So I think it's something where it's like a malpractice thing.
Yeah, I wrote that on the notes. I like that a lot.
Yeah, if they do something, then it's a dollar figure that they have to pay, or the department can pay it on their behalf. I think, that'll get a lot of cops out of here if they keep having to pay that deductible. A lot of guys will be fired just because the department don't want to pay, and they won't be, just slapped on the wrist and put back on the street. So I think it's things, why should the taxpayer who pay for the cops' salary have to pay for the cop's lawsuit too when he comes in and knocks you upside your head? I mean, why do I have to pay for the cop and I have to pay for my own lawsuit when he assaults me in a way? So
it's a lose-lose.
Yeah, it don't make crazy man sense. So we need to change that system. Cops need to be held accountable. They actually need to be held more accountable than the citizens. But it's like a dirty player on your team. As long as he's on your team, you don't mind that he's playing a little dirty. But that's the mentality. They don't mind if they cops are a little dirty as long as they get the job done. And that mentality is causing riots in the street.
In the judicial reform, you have it noted that once a prisoner completes his sentence, voting rights should be restored. I feel like a lot of people don't even know that that's a thing. They probably think when you get out of jail, you can vote and it's all good again. But I mean, yeah, I definitely think that's important to touch on, because it's just because you went to jail for whatever reason, it doesn't mean once you get out, you're not human and you should just lose your rights. I don't understand that.
The only thing that's the difference between a citizen and a criminal is that you broke the law. It's not like criminals are these aliens that come from another place, or that there's something where you aren't redeemable again. You commit a felony, society just throws you away. Very capable people can't find decent work because of the mistake they made, and they paid their debt to society. So nothing's right about a system like that. Basically, the system is just made to keep people down and not let them get back up. And after you serve your time and you back into society, you gotta have a chance to assimilate and get back on your feet. And the way things are now, they're not giving people that chance.
Well, and it just hits home because my dad was in jail for a long part of my childhood, and I saw firsthand, like, when he would get out, man, like, he would do his part to come see me when he could, but a lot of the times he couldn't because he's trying to find work and he couldn't get work and he couldn't do this and couldn't do that. And I mean, I know him obviously as my dad and as a good human, and I know the type of person he is, but because he had that record, none of that matters. And you're just looked at as, like you said, like an alien or something foreign. We can't deal with you anymore.
Yeah, they throw you away. And it's because of, the prison system, the way it's set up now, they rather throw you in prison than throw you in school, because it's big business. So that has to stop. People have to stop having mandatory, basically mandatory beds have to be filled. 90%, 95% of the beds in certain prisons have to be full, or the state has to pay the owner of the prison money. So to prevent from paying money, just throw another body in there and make sure you're 95% full. This is why the court system is a joke. This is why you can't just reform police without reforming prisons and without reforming the criminal justice system. It all has to be done at the same time because it's a machine that's just built to funnel us either to prison or the grave. And that has to stop.
I had no idea until I read this contract that in the 13th Amendment, it states that slavery is okay if it's used as a form of punishment.
Yeah, that's the only way you can enslave a person in America legally is if they do a crime and then you throw them in prison and make them a slave. That's why we have 2.5 million people locked up, more people locked up than any, civilized society. And so it's just, it's slavery all over again. It's a loophole and they're using it. And that's their only real plan for us is, make sure we, grow up to be locked up. Or, sometimes they locking us up before we even grow up. And it's a machine, it's a system, and it's slavery. It's just in another form and another name.
You also mentioned in the contract, and I thought this was awesome, that you plan to also compensate the Native Americans for the cause of their work contributed by their ancestors. And I think that's awesome and should definitely be talked about.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't know is, everybody thinks Black people only came from Africa. A lot of us are Native Americans here. We're here originally when the white man came. As a matter of fact, a few brothers showed them how to get here. So we were already a lot of, look up the Seminoles, look up a lot of tribes in the South. A lot of people are connected to Native Americans and not to Africans. So, there's a portion of us who came from Africa, and there's a portion of us who are already here. And so, that has to be sorted out. But I think, everybody has to be taken care of because, they can't just fool us and say we were all Africans when some of us was already here.
You mentioned the elimination of Confederate statues, but I wanted to point out because some people hear that they're like, well, why? This is history. Don't erase our history. The thing is, I think the beautiful thing about it is what you're trying to do. You're not trying to erase history. You say in here, put the statues in the Smithsonian or National Archives or whatever. What happened happened. But what you're trying to do with this contract, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, is basically try to focus on building a better future and write a positive future and just learn from the mistakes of the past. Don't glorify them.
Yeah, I mean, these are traitors to the country at the end of the day. I don't see, too many British, officers from the Revolutionary War statues, around here because they were looked at as traitors to the country. So, in that way, they need to just be in a different place. But this contract is really saying, in a nutshell, Black people make up 13.5% of the country, and we just need about 13.5% of the wealth that the country creates. And it's not hard to do. It's laid out in there. The government just came up with $3 trillion to give people checks, but a lot of that money went to big businesses, airlines. How much of that money has went to Black businesses? Like, we don't never get bailed out. That's our tax money that they just take from us and give to their friends. But we never get the bailout. Our companies go under, our little businesses fail, and that got to end. 13% of them $3 trillion should have been some way allocated to Black businesses, Black communities, Black sustainability. So we're paying full taxes, sometimes more taxes than other people, and we don't get the benefit. Just take all the banks in the United States. only 3% of that money goes to black businesses or homeowners or people that want credit. 97% of that money go elsewhere. And I know we got more than 3% money in those banks, if you count all the banks in America. So it's something that has to change. It has to be done. We're being treated unfair, and there's no way we can get on top. There's called a wealth gap in this country. For every dollar that a white family makes, a black family makes 10 cents. And so that's, and it's not getting smaller, it's getting bigger. It might be, $1.20 to every 10 cents soon. So we can't survive like this. We have no future if we can't be a part of capitalism. And there's no way to be a part of capitalism if you have no access to capital. And we do not have access to the capital that this country creates and that we create and that we've generated for the country, for centuries. So it's time to fix those wrongs.
Talking about fixing wrongs, I mean, we're less than 90 days away from one of, if not the most important presidential election of our lives so far. I mean, what are your thoughts right now as we approach this super important day?
This is all I'm thinking about because this is our window of opportunity. The Democrats are so scared of Trump that they should be able to give us what we need so we can support them. It's simple. Give us what we need and you got our full support. Don't, and we're going to look on the other side of the fence. Somebody got to support it. Whoever supported, I think, should get our vote in mass quantities. So, there's all kind of different, programs that's out there when it comes to reform. Those are great and those should keep moving forward. But this is a plan that we all can get behind and say, just like a Declaration of Independence or just like a Bill of Rights, this is what we need to survive in America and move forward. If not, we can't survive, and we have to think about a different way to live in this country.
Well, I think it's just so important too, because I think just to a lot of people, like the everyday, just average American, they don't. It's almost like everybody's kind of been trained to live a certain way or to think a certain way. You don't think outside the box. Like how you brought up, if every white family's getting $1, then black families are getting 10%. I bet a lot of people don't even know that. And they don't think about it because, again, they haven't been trained to think that. They've been trained to think this way. This is the normal. I think it's so important that you've created this document, and I really hope people sit down and read it and take it in and educate themselves, because there's some super, important knowledge that they need to soak in to better themselves.
Yeah, it'll kind of give you the lay of the land on the reasons why we haven't been able to get ahead. In this country, they say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We ain't even got boots yet, so we need a pair of boots and then we can start pulling them up. So it's systematic. It's not done by accident. Another example, venture capitalist money is when a bunch of rich people put their money together and figure out what we're going to buy, what we're going to support, what we're going to put stock into. Only 1% of that money goes to Black ideas and startups. And,
wow,
1% of all the VC. Now, this is all the VC money in the country. That means all the rich people with their money in those kind of companies do not even look at Black companies as, startups to really get behind. So, this is a travesty. How can we be part of the system with that dismal percentage?
Is there not to cut you off, I was just going to ask, is there a rough estimate of the total profits that come in from venture capitalists, or like the money that's being invested? Do you know?
I don't have those numbers right now, but I'm pretty sure that you can easily get them. You know, it's an estimate, but for the most part, if whatever it is, we probably getting 1% of that, if that, probably
That's
less than
so
1% of
crazy.
that.
And you know it's up there. I mean, we're talking into the probably billions, right? I mean, gotta be.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we might be talking about trillions when it comes to, you know, all the rich people putting their money together in different companies to buy other things. You know, it's a lot of money out there. You know, that's what the stock market is all about. So we're just shut out the game, and and there's no systematic way for us to really get in. You know, they'll pull examples out of they'll say, you know, well, Oprah did it and this one did it. And, you know, still we're talking athletes and entertainers most of the time. You know, we're really talking about guys who come from the bottom to the top. You know, you have a few examples, but, you know, the list of white names that's done it, you know, you know, is infinite. So we just got to really be able to catch up, and we can't catch up unless we have a decent piece of the pie.
Is there anything on the contract that we haven't talked about like throughout this conversation that you really do want to hit on? Maybe something that we might have missed?
No, I mean, we talked about finance, and you know, we talked about police reform. You know, there's, you know, public things that we can do. I mean, just government contracts. You know, if we got 13.5% of the government contracts, that means money to government, our money that the government use to get things done. You know, they don't even look to black companies that much. You know, there should be plenty of money for us to build, uh, you know, equity and build, you know, generational wealth in our communities. You know, there's no generational wealth. We're not passing wealth from one generation to another like most people. I always say this. Chris Rock had a joke where he said, you know, I live in a nice neighborhood, you know, but there's a white family in front of me, a white family behind me, a white family on the sides of me. And one guy's a dentist, one guy's an accountant, one guy's, you know, move trucks or whatever. And he said, but I had to be Chris Rock to even move here. You know what I mean? Like these families obviously have so much generational wealth. They can have normal jobs and live in a neighborhood like this. Me, I have to be Chris Rock to get here. So everybody's not going to be Chris Rock and be able to do that. So we need generational wealth. We pass it down from family to family member, and we start to build.
So for people that want to read the contract, I mean, you have a link posted on your Instagram, right?
Yeah, you can go to, you know, contractwithblackamerica.com and read the whole thing. I'm putting it into a 4-page kind of summary because, you know, everybody, unless you really into this stuff, you know, you're not going to probably read the 27 pages of what needs to be done. So I'm trying to do it in a bite-sized way where people, I just need people familiar with it. I need people, you know, barking at they politicians like, you know, are you supporting the contract of Black America? You know, are we gonna get your signature on this? You know, we want, you know, action. We have demands, and so if you don't have demands for yourself, trust me, you can get a lot done with the contract of Black America, and just roll with us. Just get behind us, and we can get this done.
There it is, man. Yeah, go to the Instagram at Ice Cube. The link is in the bio, and you can read that. Just a couple of quick questions, kind of off topic, that I'm just curious about, if you don't mind.
All right.
For the big three, man, are you thinking about doing anything similar to the NBA, man, like a little bubble type of thing? Yeah. And if so, how can we go about? I want me and the team to get courtside cutouts.
Yeah. Well, you know, we was thinking about that early when this first thing started. We was trying to figure out a way to still be able to put on a season. And, you know, at the time it was looking so bleak, we ended up pushing our season to 2021. So this year we don't have a bubble. You know, hopefully next year we can come and have a whole crowd. You can come sit on the front row for real.
Oh, there you go.
So, you know, we trying to hopefully, you know, look to the future and make sure that we got a great season. we would have did a bubble, but we only been around 4 years. You know, we ain't been around as long as the NBA and the NHL, Major League Baseball, and we didn't really want to go up against their schedules because, you know, with a new league, you're still trying to find that window where you could be the only thing people looking at. So it was the best decision for the big three. But I'll get you in there once we do it.
That's what's up, man. I'm really really curious because to focus and really zone in and write a contract like this, you've obviously got to be super aware of everything that's going on across the country, all over the place, inside and out, legal, everything. How do you just relax? Have you had like an off day? And if you do, what do you do to just kind of try and zone out, man? Because I mean, it's such an important conversation that I know it's got to be weighing heavy on your mind. So how can you kind of step back for just a day and breathe a little bit?
Well, you know what's cool is, my kids are here with me. So, you know, we get a chance to hang out and be a family and just, enjoy the life we got. But yeah, you know, it's not just me. I have great people working with me. You know, my guy Jeff Quantness is working with me. Chris Broussard, you know, I know y'all see him on sports radio. You know, he has a lot of great, intelligent people that he's hooked us up with. You know, we just talked to, Andrew Young yesterday, the great civil rights leader who's who's behind the contract with Black America and who's helping us kind of navigate the political spectrum. People like Killer Mike. We just right now we going around and just getting support so we can get his push. But I try to break it on down at a certain point in the day and just say, yo, tomorrow I get back at it, But I'm keeping my sanity.
Good,
Keeping
man.
my sanity, yeah.
Well, again, man, I really do appreciate the time and just the conversation and the action that you're taking, man. I mean, for so many people, you look online and you look on TV and you think, I want to help, but maybe you don't understand everything that's going on, or you just you question like, well, how is my voice gonna do anything, or who can I talk to, or who can give me more education? I mean, you've truly done that with this contract. So thank you for doing it and putting your energy and effort into it. And I really hope everybody goes out and reads it and gets behind it, man.
I appreciate you. This is like it's our turn. I'm an OG in this. It's our turn to try to teach the youngsters that's under us what time it is so they could take the mantle one day. I appreciate you, looking at the contract and learning from it. We definitely got to learn because that's the way we can figure out what we need to ask and what we need to fight for and not just give our vote, but give it with a purpose. And so, thanks for having me on, man. I would love to come back, before election time and kind of give another update on where we at and what we're doing. But we're going to put this in front of the politician's face, going to make them sign it. If not, we ain't gonna vote for them straight up.